It's week 2, baby. Let's step into the huddle.
You're listening to the PreSnap Podcast Weekly Wagering Show, brought to you by LineStar App, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to the PreSnap right here on the LineStar app. It is me, it is Scott Bogman, and it's you, and we're talking all things NFL DFS courtesy of the LineStar app. Go out there and go get your LineStar app, the best DFS tool site in creation, and upgrade to that premium product. And then you start the winning, and here we start the fun. So, Bogman, it was a pretty good week 1. We did the recap show already. We have at least an idea of what some of these teams look like. And I'm sure week 2 will give us a lot more information. But I would say overall, a very successful week 1. It's time for week 2. And I at least feel like I have an even better understanding of some of these teams and some injuries as well we're going to keep an eye on that could certainly already change the complexion of some of these games and some of these values.
Yeah, exactly. So, having a week 1 look and knowing what some of these teams look like is great. And we can just move forward from there. Not too shabby. I picked, a guy who had scored 3 touchdowns for my touchdown lock of the week in my first week. So I was excited about that too.
That's right. Beginner's luck. That's what I say. So
is that right? Beginner's
you got
luck.
your
Okay.
one. This is your 1 week to win. After this, it's me going forward the rest of the time. But look, hey, 6 touchdowns between 4 guys is pretty good. And one of my guys got hurt. So
yeah, exactly.
So let's, and speaking of which, Michael Thomas will get to, we don't have to worry too much about him on the main slate, obviously, because it's a Monday night game, but we'll keep an eye on that as things progress here in the weeks to come, because high ankle sprains are no joke. So We'll see how that affects things. I'm so glad we don't have to worry about them on the main slate, because that is something I was not looking forward to. So we got a little reprieve there. But let's start with the New York Giants and the Chicago Bears. This one's going to be in Chicago. Look, I thought the Giants held their own pretty good against a team that's far superior to them defensively and, just better personnel overall top to bottom in the Steelers. And it was like 19-10 in the fourth quarter. And then eventually, the Steelers pulled away and that was the game. But overall, I thought the Giants, all things considered, were plucky. They were hanging in there. And I think they're going to hang in this game as well. In fact, I think they've got a little bit more than hanging in. So let's get to some of the pricing here. Over on DraftKings, we'll start with Montgomery is 56, Trubisky is 55, Allen Robinson's 6,400. Robinson has some appeal. LineStar app likes him too because of the weak secondary for the Giants. I like the $6,400 price. Over on FanDuel, Robinson is 7K. He's probably the only bear that I'm interested in. And Robinson had such a safe floor last year. I don't love Trubisky. I didn't love Trubisky last year, but Allen Robinson was a good value last year. Do you see him being a good value this week against the Giants, Boggs?
Yeah, the Giants secondary is rough, to say it nicely. So I'm absolutely on Allen Robinson. I'm a little bit on David Montgomery too. He looked really efficient in that first game against the Lions, and I think they got to go to him more. You can't keep giving the ball to Tariq Cohen and expect to win games. So I like Tariq Cohen. He's a nice player, but he shouldn't be your main back. And Benny Snell ripped through this Giants defense late in the game. If the Bears get up by any stretch, I think Montgomery could be in for a bunch of carries. So I like him a little bit at 5,600 as well.
Now, in case you weren't paying attention last year, Darry Slayton caught a bunch of touchdowns. He seems like the guy in the red zone. And this was infuriating to me. Every time I would bring him up to somebody in an interview or something like that, people would say, blah, blah, blah. And I said, wait a minute. Does everybody watch? I mean, I know I'm stuck here in New York and I'm not a Giants fan, so I have to watch all these stinking Giant games. And you know what? All I kept seeing was Darius Slayton showing up in big spots, making points and doing stuff. And look, he is 5,300 on FanDuel compared to Shepard, who's 56. I will take him there. I will do that. He is 5K over on DraftKings. That's a $500 value against Shepard. So for me, he's got the better corner matchup. He's cheaper. I think Slayton in a tournament is still in play, and LineStar app kind of agrees with me too. I saw his value there is pretty good. Daniel Jones is 5,800 on DraftKings. Barkley is 84. And Evan Ingram is 53 over on the FanDuel side. Barkley is 9K. Daniel Jones is 69 and 6K for Ingram. look, Barkley had trouble last week, but I mean, come on. I mean, it's very difficult when Bud Dupree and TJ Watt are on top of you before you touch the football. So I have no worries about Saquon bouncing back at all. I don't think he is where I'm going this week for my premium running back. But is that wrong? Because there's not a lot of people maybe thinking that same thing. Is this a get right game, quote unquote, for Saquon?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to be a real bad idea to play Saquon. So I'll go with you there as, if you want to do a contrarian play or something, because most people aren't going to play him after that week 1 performance. Yeah, sure. But I'm with you. I think the only giant that I'd want to own is probably Slayton because he's cheap and he's got touchdown upside. So I really like the Slayton play this week. And most weeks moving forward, especially if one of these, between Tate and Shepard are always going to be banged up, Slayton is going to get those targets. So, and I knew he was scoring that long one. You should have heard me cussing.
I actually did. I heard you all the way from Arizona.
Good.
It was pretty impressive. I got to say, man, like it was pretty good.
The Steelers linebackers just stopped and I went, oh, you know what?
All right, let's talk about the highest total on the board going into this Sunday's games. 52.5 Atlanta, Dallas. So I don't think this one's going to disappoint. Van Der Esch out, Sean Lee out. We have Blake Jarwin, unfortunately, out. So a lot of injuries in this one too, but let's start with the Falcon side. Julio is 82. Got to pay for him. Calvin Ridley, who we absolutely loved last week. He did not disappoint us at all. Oh my goodness, was he so good. Matt Ryan is at 77. Ridley's at 71 on FanDuel. Gurley is at 7. So you're kind of in that same range for all these guys. On DraftKings, the price for him, we got Matt Ryan at 66, Gurley at 61, Ridley at 68, Julio at 74. So my opinion on this one, and look, I'm going to leave Hurst out of this right now because I didn't see enough, and I feel like they're going to be in another shootout. I'm going to fade away from Gurley in this one because I feel like it's pretty much the same game script we just saw.
Yeah.
Do you agree? You're in concurrence with that, at least these first 2 weeks?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to love watching this game. I think this game hits the over, even though it's the highest. So give me some plays, give me some scores. I like Russell Gage. He's really cheap on DK and on FanDuel. So still, even after his 12 targets last week, and all of them got 12 targets. So give me the guy that is the cheapest with the 12 targets.
Yeah, I literally just replaced MVS in a lineup with Gage because of the Gage pricing. 5,400 on FanDuel, and over on the other side is 48 over on DK. So a huge savings there for Gage. I am going to go a little bit more with the secondary guys this week, though, because this is a week I do want to pay up for running back. There's a couple backs I want to pay up for. So Ridley and Gage are more my speed as opposed to Julio. That's just how I see it. But one of the backs is actually in this game, and it's Ezekiel Elliott. Why? Because the Falcons don't tackle anybody. Yay. Any physical running back. They don't. The last 5 years I've been saying this, and the last 5 years I've been right, and they still haven't found a way to change it. CeeDee Lamb did look very good, by the way. He is a value too. He is 47. I just worry about the amount of volume there on DK he can get. Cooper is 63. Look, I'm telling you right now, I'm starting Elliott in cash. I think you could play him on DK and on FanDuel in both cash and in tournaments because I think he's going to have a huge game. 86 for him there on FanDuel, 82 over on DraftKings. Schultz could be an interesting punt.
Barkley. I don't get that.
I don't get it either. It's got a higher total. You know what? And that's why you have all the Elliott. That's why I said I'm going to fade away from Barkley because of the Elliott price. Yeah. That's it. There's no way around that. So going forward here, Cooper is a very good value though as well because Cooper is 6,300 over on DK. He is 7K over on FanDuel. Had a ton of targets. So Boggs, what's your thoughts on Cooper in this one and Prescott too, who is 83 on FanDuel, 68 on DraftKings, where you consider a full Cowboy stack here against the Falcons?
Yeah, I really would. And I'm a little surprised that Prescott in particular is not costing more, but you're right. That's a really, really good price on Cooper too. So yeah, I think nice tournament stack. I would definitely take a lot of Cowboys here. This is a good lineup. I'm not doing anything, I'm not going to go dumpster diving with Schultz or anything. But I think all three of those wideouts are playable, as is Dak and Zeke. Good matchups this week for them.
Yeah, and look, you can make it work. There's plenty of value at tight end we're going to get to later in some other games. There's plenty of value at wide receiver. We just showed you Gage in the same game. So there's a lot you can kind of get through here. Let's move on to the next one here. Detroit is going to travel to Green Bay. Green Bay was phenomenal last week against the Vikings on the road. They just blew the doors off them. MVS was good. Alan Lazard was good. The question is, can they all be good again? We know what Devontae Adams is. And look, Adams, if you want to play safe cash and go Rodgers and Adams, it's fine. 69 for Rodgers, 81 for Devontae Adams in this one over on DK. On FanDuel, 79 for Rodgers, 86 for Adams. The question in this game has nothing to do with those guys. To me, it's about what we think of the MVS pricing. He's 51 on FanDuel. On DK, he's 46, so he's a great value there. Lazard is 56 over on FanDuel, 53 over on DK. So you got to pay more for Lazard. Does that make MVS appealing to you, or do you think Lazard is the safer bet if you are going to go to a secondary receiver in this game?
I mean, I think Lazard is safer because he just saw like 22 more snaps, somewhere in that range. I don't have the exact number in front of me than MVS, but MVS is that fast. You know, he doesn't need a bunch of touches to take one to the house, and we saw that last week. So I think I'd rather pay, especially in tournaments, for MVS at the cheaper price than Lazard, but Lazard is the higher floor player. So, but I think if I'm picking one for this week, you know, I want to save money to get elite running backs like you just said. So give me MVS.
The price of Aaron Jones is pretty suppressed. He's just 71 over on DK. More expensive over on FanDuel at 77, which I would expect more, you know, half-point PPR, he's worth a little bit more. But on DK, he's an interesting play just because last week it was so much with the wide receivers and all of that. It wouldn't shock me if they got back to a little bit more of the normalcy. I don't expect Aaron Rodgers to go out there and throw 300-yard games every week. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out. But it was certainly an impressive outing. This is me right now giving Aaron Rodgers credit, and Bogman's loving this because he knows I'm not the biggest fan. I respect him, just not a big fan. What about Detroit here? Is there anything you can get behind in this one? Is it maybe an Adrian Peterson at 4,700? Is that a guy as a flex on DK? He's 55 over on FanDuel. I worry about the game script a little bit of this one, but AP did look sharp in that game.
Give me Swift. Give me Swift for a much cheaper price.
What? Drop some more balls.
You know what, though? You have to get the ball to him to get that confidence in your stud rookie. And he led all of those running backs in snaps. Now, obviously, Peterson way more touches and all that stuff. But I think you got to go back to the well here and let him kind of earn some playing time and let him play well in this game to kind of put last week behind him, because that stuff can haunt you for your whole life, you know, not just a week or two. So I think they got to go back to him. So I like, if I'm going to play a running back, I'm going to play Swift, but I'm not messing with Peterson or Johnson. No way.
Speaking of haunting their entire lives, how about Derrick Henry haunting the Jacksonville Jaguars? How about that? FanDuel, 8,300 for Derrick Henry. Yes, please. Yes, please. I've got a lot of him and Elliott together, and it ain't that hard to make it work. Derrick Henry is 7,900 on DK. And yes, I don't care if he doesn't catch 8 balls a game. I don't care, because he's going to score touchdowns in this one. I am not going to believe the Jaguars. I look, maybe if they win 5 games in a row, I'll believe them. But I think this is more of an indictment of the Colts than it is a praise of the Jaguars, what happened last week. And yeah, I gotta tell you, I won money on it too. Like, I actually decided I actually changed what I was doing, because I got the feeling on that line just really started to irk me. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go with the Jaguars outright on the money line, and I got it, and I hit it, and I couldn't believe it. I know. It was nice. It was a good day. It was a good day. Week one was better in wagering for me than DFS. DFS was meh. You know, I was above breaking even, but that's not a great day. And then wagering was well above. So that was good. It was the inverse of last year's week one, where I was terrible into wagering. So hopefully
it is 2020. So
it is 2020. There you go. So all the Derrick Henry for me in this one. LineStar App loves Tannehill in this one. 5,900 on DK, on FanDuel 7K. Do you want to buy into him in this game too? Because it seems like it's a pretty good matchup here for him.
Yeah. And you know, the one thing that the Colts had going was that passing game. So I'm absolutely with that. I think Tannehill is a good value, as is Jonnu Smith. I think Jonnu Smith is a real nice, cheap tight end who could get you a touchdown again, just like he did last week. So I'm for Jonnu Smith for sure too.
All right, let's talk punt plays here. Corey Davis was really good last week. I know he's kind of nursing a little bit of an injury, but they say it's just kind of like a maintenance thing right now. He's 4K on DK. He is 4,900 on FanDuel. That's a lot of value. Are you going to buy into that value? Hard pass. Just checking, especially with A.J. Brown, not 100% either, because he's another guy dealing with an injury right now. All right, just want to ask. I'm with you on Jonnu. I like the Tannehill, Henry, Jonnu trio. I think that's how you hedge your bet down by the goal line area too, because somebody could rush it in. Tannehill could keep it himself. Jonnu could get a look there. As far as Jacksonville goes, I can't do it. Won't do it. DJ Shark at 67, 6K for him over on DK. Because he came off the bad game, I'm always apt to do that. I'm always apt, because I feel like roster percentage falls through the roof, or falls to the basement, I should say, after a bad game from a good player like that who is on a bad team. So I would go back to that, because you would imagine this is more of them trying to, catch up than them sitting on a lead this time around.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. So I'm absolutely with you on Shark. Great price for him this week on both sites. Love it.
All right. Speaking of the stupid Colts, let's talk about them. They're going to be at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Rivers, I'm not touching, but we have to talk about what we got to talk about now, which is clearly the running back situation. So Jonathan Taylor is going to be not by himself, because Hines is there. 57 for Taylor, who caught a ton of balls last week, which was actually the surprising thing. And on FanDuel, he's 58. So it's a pretty good value on both sides. Hines clearly in play, especially on DK. Are you going at all to this backfield? And are you going to Paris Campbell? Do you believe what you saw last week?
I do. It's funny because I've always liked Paris Campbell's skill, but I just didn't think they're going to get him involved because, they drafted Pittman and T.Y. Hilton's coming back and Jack Doyle and Phillip Rivers love some of the tight end and all that stuff. I was like, when is Paris Campbell going to get involved?
Right.
And I thought the same thing about Nyheim Hines. I was like, all right, 6 touches a game last year. That was without Taylor and, in this and without Pittman. So how is he going to get touches? I didn't, Paris Campbell missed a bunch of games too. So how is he going to get touches? How is Campbell going to get touches? Those are my big questions. Well, those guys, made me shut up real quick last week. So I think I would go with Taylor. Taylor has the nice price. He's got the touchdown upside. The Minnesota defense looked god awful last week. So I think a lot of things are in play here. I think Hilton's in play. I think Campbell's in play, and Taylor, and Rivers. I think they're all in play because Minnesota's defense looked so horrific.
Well, here's the thing. They look so horrific, but is this one of these things where everybody gets in the film room and they get chewed out and they get, practiced to death, and they come back the next week and all of a sudden look really good because they have some self-respect? Because I'm terrified of that. And that's why the only thing I'm really interested in this game, to be honest with you, is Paris Campbell on DK at 4,500. That is a tremendous value for a potential possession wide receiver on a full point PPR. I love that value. But outside of that, I'm afraid that Minnesota is going to be Jekyll and hiding us this year. And they got their ass handed to them last week against Green Bay. And now they're going to have some self-respect and show up against the Colts, who, let's be honest, Phillip Rivers, he keeps turning that ball over like that. It's going to be a long day at the office.
That's very true, but it also means they're going to be playing a lot of catch-up. So that's why I think that Hilton and Campbell and Rivers are all still a possibility. And, I think with the Minnesota defense, you got to remember the line sets everything. And Danielle Hunter's out for another 2 weeks, and Ngakoue is still working his way in here. And look, I know that they didn't play great as a whole, the Colts last week, but that offensive line is still one of the best in the NFL. So I'm more than fine with going with Taylor and Campbell and Hilton as well. So I'm in on those guys.
All right, we're going to disagree on this one. When we come back on Tuesday, we'll have it out and we'll see who's right and wrong. Dalvin Cook is 76 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's 88. You got to pay high for him. Once again, give me Ezekiel Elliott. Give me Elliott. Give me Henry. I'm sorry. They're just better values this week. They are priced so right. And it's not that Cook is wrong. And if you want to do multi-entry and change things up, you can. There's certainly enough leeway with some of the receivers we just talked about, like Paris Campbell, like Russell Gage. There's a lot of very affordable guys, especially over on DK this week. MVS is very cheap too. If you want to go down to that, well, you can make Cook work, but I'm going to fade away from it. Thielen is 7,300, about where you would think he would be on FanDuel on DK 72. I was impressed with Thielen. I was a little concerned coming into the year with him, worrying about what he was going to do without a real definitive second option in that passing game. But you know what? Thielen showed up. Are you going to go back into the Thielen business this week, though?
Probably not. I think Thielen is probably appropriately valued. So, like we mentioned before, we want to get big time RBs, a nice spot in that flex too. So I don't think I'm going to go with Thielen in too many lineups. I think he's appropriate. I think the only guy from Minnesota that I feel like I could want to roster is Cousins. And that's because he looks so good in the second half against Green Bay. And, look, it was a tale of two halves because he was 2 for 4 in the first half and then he exploded in the second half. So I think he's the only Viking I'll want this week.
We have now the Miami Dolphins going back home against the Buffalo Bills. One of these teams is 1-0, the other's 0-1. Look, the Bills were good, but they could have been better. They really could have, dominated the Jets a little bit more than they did, believe it or not. We talked last week about John Brown still being in the mix. Don't forget about John Brown. Well, hope you didn't because he caught a touchdown last week. And I don't think that's going to go away. I actually think that rapport is going to stay. It's going to stay for good. Diggs was very good. Very similar pricing here. $6K for Brown, $65 for Diggs. On the FanDuel side, $64 for John Brown, $68 for Diggs. One, both, neither. How do you feel about these two wide receivers?
I don't want any wide receivers for Buffalo this week. I think this is the early lead. I think they start running the ball, and Singletary still outsnapped Moss, and Moss was not very effective. He had the touchdown, but other than that, he didn't do squat. So I think Singletary, if I'm going to own anyone here because he's cheap and the Bills should have a lead, I like Josh Allen, but I think his price is probably appropriate. So once again, probably not paying for him.
I got to tell you, I'm out on this game altogether. I don't like the prices. I don't like anything going on. I don't like the matchups for the Dolphins. If anything, I like the Bills defense again. I like, it's just, it's what's
pick on the Dolphins, pick on the Jets. I mean, what
time is it on the 2? Is it almost 2:00 yet? Oh goodness.
Evil.
That was actually pretty funny.
That was good.
Yeah. I just did it off the top of my head. I didn't even plan that. So I want a little love for that one. Is it almost 2:00? And you know what? And I'm going to tweet that out once Fitzpatrick throws his first interception in this game on Sunday.
I mean, if I could curse you out on this show, I would, but I won't. So
I appreciate that.
It's your dad jokes. It's fine. It's fine. I get it.
All right, let's talk about the Jets. Oh, goodness. What's left for the Jets? No, we can't skip it. You know why? Because there might be one or two things here. One of them might, and I'm going to stress might, Herndon at 5,100 on DK is an intriguing tight end. 3,400 on DK, 51 on FanDuel. 3,400 is bottom of the barrel tight ends. I think Herndon's going to get some work in this game besides Crowder. Crowder's always going to work. That's just what's going to happen, especially because this pass rush is going to be all up in their Kool-Aid. And the next thing you know, they're going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. Forget the run game, forget everything else. But I think Herndon at 34, Crowder at 54 on DK. Those are pretty good values in the full point PPR. That's it. That's all I want to do. I will ask you, and then I will run away. Anything else on the Jets for you?
Crowder. And I think Crowder's probably...
That was the most begrudging phrasing of a name I've ever heard.
I'm not happy about it. And I think he's probably appropriate price. So I just want to stay away from the Jets.
Yeah, I think that's a good practice. How about the San Francisco 49ers? Kittle's banged up, so it's a hard no for me. Look, they should win this game, but I feel like this is going to be one of those games where they should win it way more handily than they do. And they're just banged up right now. I mean, they got injuries to Debo. They got injuries to Ayuk. They got injuries to Kittle. He's going to try to play, but I don't know if that's a good idea. And I feel like if they push him and he gets hurt, 49ers are in deep trouble. Mostert is the only thing, but even that, I got to say, I'm not in love with that. At FanDuel, he's 65. Over on DK, he's 64. We're going to get to another running back or two who are in that similar range that I think have higher ceilings. So I'm going to be a pass, but I don't think Mostert's a bad play. I don't think he's a bad flex play. That's fine, especially on FanDuel if you're looking for the touchdown upside. Okay, Mostert, flex, FanDuel, that's a good spot for him. Boggs, anything else for the Niners?
Mostert's also going to miss some practice because his wife is having a baby. So I think I'm just out on this game overall.
All right, there you have it. Let's go over to the Los Angeles Rams. And I guess the real question is, does Carson Wentz have insurance? Because Aaron Donald is going to roll all over him. This is terrifying. If I am Carson Wentz, I am really afraid in this game. Like, I'm just terrified. I know Lane Johnson said he's going to be back. That's great, Lane. But you know what? I just watched Aaron Donald move 3 guys at one time by himself, and I don't know. Good luck. Good luck with that. So how do you feel about this one for the Eagles? Before we even get into pricing, I know it seems like Sanders is going to play. He's 6K on DK, very suppressed. He is 6.8 over on FanDuel. The offensive line is a real question, but is the Sanders return potentially enough to get back into things and take some of that pressure off the line a little bit?
I don't want him in his first game back, so no thanks. A pass for me. I think Goddard is probably the only Eagle that I would take this week at all. So you can't mess with any of the wideouts. Too many different snap rates. So Goddard, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm going to sign off on that one. We're going to agree. By the way, Deshaun Jackson, bad job by you last week. I'm still mad. Like, yeah. I mean, come on. You know, yeah. Although I guess I could really just blame the offensive line for that. Not so much even Deshaun's fault. You know, if Carson Wentz is not upright, it's very, my favorite shot of the weekend was there was that picture. Did you see that on Twitter? The 3 Eagles linemen with their hands on their hips, and there's 4 guys on Washington on top of Carson Wentz, and they're just staring at him. That was my favorite. And I can't remember what it was, but it was something like, when it was like, when they say your table's ready at Applebee's or something. I don't know what it was.
Is that what did it? That's pretty good. So
I don't know. It was pretty funny. That's all I know.
You're killing them with the with off the top of your head today, Joe.
I don't know, but it was funny.
Like, I don't know. They just come to me.
I don't know. They just come to me. I'm just a comic genius, Boggs. It's the only way to talk about it. All right, let's talk about the other side of this game here. What did you think about Malcolm Brown? He's 5,200 over on FanDuel. On DK, he's 57. I don't like the timeshares when it comes to DFS. I like my folks to be holding that ball all by themselves. However, Brown was still pretty good. So you want to give him a shot here at this price because it's still pretty low, or do you just kind of fade away and say, show me a little bit more?
I mean, the Eagles are banged up too, so I don't mind him, but I don't think I'm going to play him. So I'm not going to put my eggs in the Malcolm Brown basket quite yet. So Robert Woods, and that's it. If you're playing any Rams.
Woods is 6,400 compared to Kupp, who's 67 on DraftKings, so you're saving money there. And you're also saving money on FanDuel too, because Kupp is 7,200, Woods is 67. So out of the slot, looks like Anobi is going to be up on him. So it's a good matchup for Woods. I agree. I think you cherry pick Woods and then just and Goddard, and you move on from this game. The next one, get ready, boys and girls. And it's funny. This is 2 weeks in a row. I'm just loving the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm like, oh, it's like black and gold for me, baby. I'm so excited about this game. I'm all in. I'm all in on Roethlisberger. I am all in on Deontay Johnson, who I don't care how bad he was in the first half, because the second half, he was as bad as he was in the first half is how good he was in the second half, and everything I want him to be. Juju was incredible. And who knows? I mean, as we get a little bit more clarity whether or not Connor plays, if Connor's on the field, I'm a little concerned about Benny Snell, but I thought Snell looked great. So let's talk about the pricing. Snell is 4,600 over on FanDuel. On DK, he's 45. I mean, it's hard not to imagine him being like 40% owned and roster percentage, but you know what? It doesn't mean it's wrong, bro. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Like, that is a good value. He's just for perspective. He is cheaper on both sites than last week Boston Scott or Zach Moss was. So, I mean, I don't know how, if Connor is out, that Benny Snell is not in some lineups for you.
Well, this is the problem, is that it's going to be questionable all the way up to game time. And then they'll probably say, Connor's going to play. And then Connor gets, the first 2 drives, and then he's out again because he nicked up his ankle or his elbow.
Well, I guess that brings up an interesting point. So I'm going to ask you this question. Do we like this play more if Connor is in, because all of a sudden then everybody drops all the Benny Snell? But the reality is Benny Snell is probably still the better play that day, especially at that price. I don't want
to do it. Look, the price is real nice. So if they announce Connor's out day before or something, go get Benny Snell. We just saw
he looked good. It was the Giants.
He looked good. Yeah, he looked good.
Better. And then, he looked a little lighter to me than he did last year. You agree?
And he dropped 10 pounds. So your scouting eye is absolutely right, Joe. So Derrick Henry, we just saw with 31 carries against the Broncos too. So I think Benny Snell would be a great play if Connor's out. That's the issue. We just don't know what they're going to do.
All right, I love Juju on DK at 65. He's going to be all over the place for me. On 71, I like him too, but I love him on DK for 65. It's such a good price. And give me Deontay Johnson at 4,500 on DK. Oh my goodness, it's so good. 58 on FanDuel. This is going to be the last time I'm telling you. It's gonna, you know, people are going to say, "Oh, you missed that thing. The kick hit him, and they hit him in the helmet." I'm telling you right now.
Those are the people that don't like Deontay. That's how they talk.
That's how they talk. Deontay's no good. The ball hit him in the helmet. Hey, come on. He's no good at football. Yeah. He had 32% of the target share in that game, by the way. 32. So, and like I said, Roethlisberger at 75. I'm okay with him too. Give me Roethlisberger at 75 on FanDuel. Dude, I'm telling you, Juju, Big Ben, Deontay, lock it up. I love it.
Lock it up.
Lock it up. And I haven't done the lock it up. I didn't do it in week 1. I'm doing it this. I lock it up. On the other side of this game with Denver, with Lindsey out, I can see the appeal for Gordon at 52. That's actually not a bad price on DK. On 67, also not a bad price. This was where I was talking about, well, if you don't really want to spend,
you just see what Saquon did against Pittsburgh.
Well, that's the problem. That's exactly where I'm leading to. It's like you see the price and you go, well, but you can't because of Bud Dupree, because of Watt, because of like the rest of those guys. They're just there. So Pittsburgh defense in this one, I think definitely in play also. So I'm a hard pass. But one question, Noah Fant. He is 4,400 on DK. That's not a bad price for another guy who I think tight end wise is in play.
No, I like Noah Fant a lot. And at that price, I'm willing to take a risk. And if Sutton misses again, which is still, a question, I wouldn't mind playing Jerry Jeudy, but I think if Sutton plays, because he had some drops last week, that lock is going to force the ball to Sutton. So
I would agree with that sentiment.
Jeudy might have if Sutton doesn't play. Yeah.
All
he
right.
might have to.
I don't know what happened, but like I've never soured on a game so much that I was so excited about in 2 days. This next one, man, if you asked me on Monday, I was like, woo, man, I can't wait for Tom Brady against the Carolina Panthers. I am so excited. And here we are. It's Thursday morning, and I'm bitter. I don't like it at all. Godwin's in concussion protocol. That's not great because he was the first guy. The very first lineup I made, I went, "Ooh, Monday, give me some Godwin. Let's put it on there." Tuesday morning, I'm putting Godwin lineups together.
Are you trying to sound like a redneck every time you do that? Woo-wee, I won't get me some Godwin. He's going to play real good against some Panthers, them big cats.
Pretty much. That's what I want to do. But I can't now. Scotty Miller's 4,100. I don't even feel good about that. I'd love to see Fournette touch the ball more. I'm not confident about it. Evans still dealing with the hamstring, still limited in practice. Look, I want to troll the Panthers so bad, but it's getting really difficult. Talk me off the ledge. Convince me otherwise.
No, I'll push you. So don't do it. Don't take any of these bucks yet. So, Brady this is the get right game, but you're not going to get right if none of your guys are playing. So, I think you're absolutely right.
Disaster. Could you imagine if they went 0-2 and if they
no way.
one of those losses?
I don't think they're going to lose, No, I wouldn't go that far, but I don't think it's going to, I think it's probably not going to be pretty. So, Robbie Anderson makes a couple big plays, then maybe they go down.
Well, look, Robbie Anderson is 5,200 over on DK. Did have a really good game, much to the surprise of a lot of people. 59 over on FanDuel. McCaffrey obviously through the roof this week, but last year Tampa handled him very well. That was the only team that had handled him, and they handled him twice. Let's be honest, for the most part. Even in that second game in London, he did score, but they handled him, especially that first shot out of the gate. And this front has been very good. They've been very good against the run.
Hey, it's held Kamara to 16 yards.
Yeah, exactly. So this is not last week was a week we could say, yeah, you can McCaffrey this week. I don't think you can this week. I'm just sour. I am so sour on this game right now. And I don't know what could change except if Godwin is clear and out of the protocol, maybe I start to get excited again. But until I get that news, man.
Put him back in that lineup.
I don't know.
Put him back in there.
Where's that OJ Howard? Maybe I'll get
Where's that OJ Howard? Get him in that lineup, boy.
OJ Howard. How about this? 4,800 on FanDuel, 3.9 over on DraftKings. I think there's some touchdown equity there. I really do, Boggs. I think there is. Gronk looks done to me.
Do it. I just can't. I'm not messing with the Bucks tight ends or the Bucks running backs until one pulls away. I just can't do it. So,
all right.
No thanks.
Fair enough. All right. Let's talk about the Washington football team. who look, as bad as the Eagles line was, give Washington a little credit. Those guys got after it, and I appreciate that. That was pretty cool. You also saw your boy, Mr. Thomas, be pretty good. By the way, you want to I don't know if you have it up, but you want to take a guess what his price is on DK, or do you know already?
I just looked. So, I mean,
3,600.
Buy. He led them in targets.
All the Logan Thomas shares. I know, all of them. I got outbid by $1 by Mike Randall, by the way, in flex on him. I was so mad because I need a tight end because I had Jarwin. So I was, SOL.
Yeah.
But I did get Malcolm Brown. So that's good. So.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. You spent for him too.
So. Well, yeah, but in the other two flex leagues, I was at more. He went for more. He went for the 40s.
Yeah, I know. We bid for him, didn't get him. So we got to start James White this week. So. Don't like that.
People. It is worse. You could do worse than him. But let me tell you, Logan Thomas is going to be my starter. I'm going to start with Logan Thomas, and then I'm going to build the lineups from there pretty much. I'm just telling you right now. That's how it's going to be.
I'm with you.
I'm not going to have anything else from the Washington side. However, let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. You want something else? I'm sorry. Whoa.
Terry McLaurin? You're not going to go against the Cardinals?
Okay. Go with Terry McLaurin? By the way, also, one more note. The Cardinals were horrendous last year against tight ends. This is such a good matchup. I mean, if this goes wrong, I might quit. I might quit. I'm not because I like money, but I just wanted to say I might. Yeah, I like dramatic effect. That's what I like. So, Terry McLaurin 5,900 on DK on the full PPR, and the half PPR he is 6,500. Would you play him on both or one or the other?
I play him on both. I love him, so I'm with it.
All right. Anything else? I don't want to step on you again.
I mean,
here.
We can move along from the Washington football team now, but I just, Terry McLaurin against the Cardinals. I mean,
it's true. No, you're right. You're right.
It should be a nice shootout. So
you're right.
Got to throw his name in there at least. That's all.
Kyler Murray is 8K over on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he is 6.1. Hopkins is 77 on DK. He is 83 coming off a monstrous game, the biggest game of his career, arguably too. So your thoughts on this grouping here? Would you go back to this or is this a different kind of game? Maybe that Washington front is, I don't want to say better than San Francisco, but I don't know, man. It seems like Kyler Murray and them just have San Francisco's number, and I love it. It makes me laugh. So how do you approach this one here going there on Sunday?
I'm okay with buying. If I'm going to spend up for a wide receiver, I like Hopkins this week. So, I think the matchup is good against the Washington secondary, as long as Kyler Murray can create a little more time than Wentz can. So as long as he can get the ball to Hopkins, I think he's going to be okay. Not interested in anybody else. Murray and Hopkins, and that's it. I don't want Drake. I don't want Fitzgerald or Kirk or Max or anybody else on this team. Those are the only two I'm interested in, even a little bit.
I agree. And if you want to isolate in the late slate and just do it too, you can do that as well. I can't believe how cheap Hilaire is on DK. I thought he would have been well past this. He is just 7.4. I think this is just wrong. It's just wrong. And I know he didn't catch a lot of balls, but that's what he's really good at. He's really good at catching the football. And I got to tell you, FanDuel seems to get it. FanDuel understands. They have him at 8K. They have him right around where, guys like Henry are and Elliott, but he's a few $100s cheaper than those guys on DK. And you know what? I think I'm going to do it. How about you, Boggs? What do you think?
The Tom Hardy gif from the Mad Max movie with him and Charlize Theron, where he points at something and goes, "That's bait." That's what Clyde Edwards-Helaire is to me this week. So I'm going to find my running back elsewhere, and I'm not knocking Helaire at all. But
I like it on DK more than FanDuel. I got to be honest. I just think that DK pricing is off. I feel like he's going to catch more balls and make up for that aspect of it a little bit, but he might not have quite a spectacular game in this one. And look, the Chargers defense is respectable. There's no doubt about that. That front is very good.
Held Cincy to 13 points. So, I think it's starting a rookie
quarterback first time out of the game.
They're not going to hold Kansas City to 13 points. So I'd be surprised if they hold Kansas City to 30 points. So you're right. They're respectable, but I'm not. Look, the 25 touches, I think a lot of that had to do with contact reps. And maybe they're going to do that again this week, but I'm not going to pay up to watch it. So,
all right. Are you paying for anybody else? Because as usual, the Kansas City Chiefs are expensive. So this doesn't feel like the pay up for the Chiefs game. It's on the road. It's against the Chargers defense. It's a game I still think the Chiefs are going to win. But I actually, to tell you the truth, I actually kind of like the Chiefs defense in this one too, because they are, they're getting after it a little bit.
So I'm not gonna be messing with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I think if I'm buying someone in Kansas City, it's gonna be Sammy Watkins this week because he's still cheap. He had a good game last week, and he's still cheap on both, 5,900 on FanDuel, 48 on DK. So I think that's the cheap that I buy if I buy anyone. But I don't understand what Anthony Lynn is doing with Austin Eckler and saying that he's not going to catch passes and all that stuff. So I don't get it.
I don't believe it. I mean, I don't believe Kelly had a good game. I don't want to get into this, but I'm telling you right now, I think because Frank Clark, you're going to have to get Eckler out there a little bit because Frank Clark's going to be up in your stuff, man. I'm telling you. And look, as a pricing thing, to 6,500 for Eckler on a full point PPR, the fact that he had one catch, I mean, come on, like there's got to be a correction here. I think it's going to be a massive correction. I really do. And I think Eckler is at the perfect price to find out. I'm not saying you want to have it in necessarily a single entry, but in multi-entry, there's no way I'm not going to have some Eckler in there because the price at 6,900 on FanDuel, I don't love it as much, but at 65 on the full point PPR, there's so much upside there with Eckler based on what he did last year and against the Chiefs, in division game, all that stuff. There's no way you don't go back. You look at this tape and go, boy, you know what? We really should have gotten the ball a little bit more to Eckler in the passing game. There's no way they're not going to do that, Boggs.
We're going to have to make someone Photoshop a picture of Anthony Lynn as Pinocchio if Austin Eckler catches 10 balls in this one.
I don't have to catch 10. Catch 6 and forget it. He's going to turn value on 6. 6 balls.
Yeah, he really will. And Mike Williams looked great last week, and I think he's cheap on both too. So, and they should be playing catch up. So Mike Williams not a bad buy either. Keenan Allen probably appropriate. Actually, fairly cheap on DK. 5,700 on DK.
Yeah,
is that right?
He was cheap last week too. I think he was 61 or 62.
I think I'm buying on Keenan Allen.
I'll tell you what, LineStar App loves Mike Williams too. He's one of the best values on the board at 42. My thing with that's on DK. On FanDuel, it's more expensive. It's 58. My problem with Mike Williams is he's been so all or nothing, and he is that guy where. I have so many season-long shares of him in the last few years, and I've been disappointed in every single one of them. And it's frustrating because you see the body, you see how he's able to, get open, and you can see how he's a matchup disaster in the red zone. It's just the consistency, it's the health, and he's already not healthy coming into this year. And I had a good game, but I can't put my money there. I'll put my money on Eckler, but I would not shock me if Allen and Williams were good investments either.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, last one here. We've got Baltimore traveling to the Texans. Oh boy. I guess the real question is Bill O'Brien getting his resume ready already?
Yeah, I already sent him a couple of Walmart applications. So
to be a greeter?
Yeah, I'm not going to do anything else. So
yeah, maybe you know what? Actually, he should be in charge of exchanges. Because you can bring back you bring back like a towel, like a bath towel or something you bought that it doesn't match what you thought, and he gives you back like a car.
Yeah, and you just go, okay, all right, fine.
What are you returning? Oh, what is this? Is this a I Love USA banner for your front door? Oh, okay. Here's a set of steak knives. There you go. That seems like the appropriate exchange value there for me. My name is Bill O'Brien. I have no idea how much anything is worth. That's
that game that you used to have to play in school where, they give you like a paper clip and see what you can trade it up for by the end of the week or whatever.
No, what do they teach you in Arizona? What the hell is that?
This wasn't in Arizona. This was when I was in Texas. When I was a kid.
Okay. Well, what do they teach you in Texas?
Yeah, they give you something like, all right, you're gonna try and trade up for the best thing that you possibly can. You're gonna start with this, and you're gonna move up and up and up and up. And I don't even remember what I had, but I remember someone, they started with a paper clip and they walked in with a washer. And I was like, wow, okay. Bill O'Brien's the only guy that would go backwards. Like a paper clip, and he ended up with some lint. It's like, how did that happen? That's the only way it would go. Your jokes have been way better on this show.
No, actually, that's a pretty good one. But yeah, nothing's gonna beat 2:00. I should just end the show there.
Yeah, probably.
We're going to have a lot more of that. Hashtag 2 o'clock. All right, let's do this one here. Lamar Jackson is always good. He's always expensive. You don't need us to tell you that. I'm not going to get involved with the running backs here. Not going to get involved with Dobbins or Ingram. Just going to wait and play this one out. Once again, it's Lamar Jackson. It's Mark Andrews. That is about the safest thing.
I like Marquise this week. I think this should be a little. Yeah, I think this should be a little bit closer.
But in cash, Andrews has got to be the play in cash. Like the safest cash game duo on the planet right now is those two dudes. I feel like.
Yeah, and Andrews is cheap, especially I think on DK he's a real good value at 6,300 here. But I like Marquise.
Cheap on FanDuel 75 is not terrible for Andrews. What he gives you.
Yeah, exactly. So and I think Andrews is almost automatic, but we're going with Logan Thomas this week, right? We're taking the absolute bottom of the barrel price, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I would go Thomas over Andrews because of the value.
But I guess that's the difference. The difference is in tournaments, it's all the Logan Thomas I can handle.
Right.
In cash, I can understand going the complete opposite route because I could see a lot of people using Logan Thomas even in cash. And if he, for some reason, does not have a great game, let's say he doesn't catch a touchdown or whatever that might be, and Andrews has another 2 against this Texans team, then that's something to watch. Brown's not terrible play for sure at 62 on both sides, which is kind of funny. He's the same price there. That rarely happens, but
he had 5 catches and they didn't need to play him in the second half.
It's true. It's true.
So I think you don't have to get him the ball a million times to score. So I like him to score this week. So
now, speaking of scoring, I always like Will Fuller to score. He is 63 over on DK, but he's actually just 61 on FanDuel, which is actually where he is always better because he is always that touchdown nose for the end zone kind of receiver. But against the Ravens, it's very difficult. It's very hard to get excited here. I can only say as an oppo play, if you want to go with Watson, and Fuller, I can actually get behind that as an oppo play if you're trying to get a little bit of a differential there with something. But outside of that, I don't feel good about anything else here against Baltimore. It's hard not to feel like this is going to be a Baltimore stomping to a certain degree. And I don't know how much garbage time. I mean, he got some garbage time stuff last week in the debut in the home opener. I know they have some extra time off there, but how do you see the Texans offense panning out here?
I mean, play Fuller while he's healthy. Yeah, he always gets a ton of targets and catches and stuff when he's on the field. He's on the field right now, so I'm good with him. Outside of that, I don't want anything in Houston, especially against Baltimore. So no, thank you. I think he's the only play that I would want from Baltimore at all this week.
That is the main slate for you this Sunday. And you know what that means? It's that time again, boys and girls. It's time to get in the end zone. So Bogman and I are going to each choose a running back and a wide receiver to score. And you can get involved in this game as well with us and win some free stuff courtesy of the LineStar app. So go retweet this segment and go follow LineStar app over on Twitter and LineStar NFL. And you can win some free merch. Everybody likes free stuff, free hats, free shirts. Who knows? It could be Bill O'Brien's working. He could exchange, a t-shirt for, I don't know, maybe a new bicycle. Like that's what he'll do for you because he's the king of bad exchanges. So last week, 6 touchdowns in our 4 players. Not bad. Bogman did carry most of the touchdowns because he had Jacobs, but mine was a lower player in Zach Moss, and I was right about that. So let's go through them today. And my pick is going to be for running back. I'm going to go keeping it simple with my boy, Derrick Henry. He is no way he's not getting the end zone. In fact, I think he might be good for 2. So let's run the touchdown meter up for Derrick Henry. Who's your running back, Boggs?
Well, it's going to be Derrick Henry, but that's okay. It's okay. You take the easy way out, Joe. I'm way up.
You go first last week because you're new. Now, never again. Because you took Josh Jacobs and you got 3. Never again. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll go out on a limb. And I mentioned him a little bit before how I want to take him, and it's David Montgomery. I think that he gets in the end zone against this Giants defense, and I really like him as a buy this week. So David Montgomery will be my touchdown of the week here.
All right, so I'll go a little less chalky because that's what we try to do. We try to give you one that's not as chalky. We'll get one chalky, one not. So I'm going to go Deontay Johnson. That's right. Everybody heard me on the podcast just now talk about how much I'm in on the Steelers this week. So give me Deontay Johnson. He didn't catch a touchdown last time. I think things change. So wide receiver, where you going, Boggs?
I'm going to go with another guy that didn't catch a touchdown last week, but I'm going to go very chalky here. Give me DeAndre Hopkins against the Washington football team. I think he gets in the end zone this week and probably, a ton of targets once again and a lot of catches. So give me Hopkins.
There you go. All right. So go follow us over on Twitter again at LineStar App, at LineStar NFL. Go get that LineStar App, upgrade to the premium product. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at Bogman Sports, at Joe Pisapia 17. That'll do it for us. There's nothing left to do now except get out of the huddle and set down, win.
You've been listening to the PreSnap Podcast weekly wagering show brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, drop a rating, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.